Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Success Life Live. My name is Reid. I'm your host, I'm your coach, I'm your friend, I'm your mentor, and I'm glad you took a moment to tune in, or if you're listening to this on the podcast replay download, hey, thank you so much for subscribing and liking as well. So take a minute, step into the room, introduce yourself if you're with us on Facebook or through the other channels. Make a comment, take a share, keep a follow, do what it takes to help grow the audience, and also give me the feedback I need to do better at this. So good morning, Julia from Michigan. As it started snowing, good morning, Miss Allison. I will be bringing you on in just a minute. I think we see, yep, there's Al. I thought I saw Al pop in, and Steve should be coming along, and there's Chuck and Brian. Good morning, Brian. Good morning, everybody, for taking a minute out of your busy day to join us for Success Life Live. My name is Reid. I am a coach, and today we have the privilege and honor of welcoming my friend Allison as we discuss her new book, The Art of Imperfect Action. And so I'm going to be bringing her here live in just a moment. But before I do that, could you do me a favor and hit the like, hit the share, and hit the comment button or hit the follow button? That is what helps me know that I'm doing what needs to be done. So again, I've sort of titled this Writer Wednesday. You know, we have Fun Friend Friday. Now we have Writer Wednesday. Who knows, we may have Teaching Tuesday. Every day of the week needs a theme. And so I thought, you know what, we need to theme this one up a little just as well. And so today is Writer Wednesday. And I have Allison joining me here. And I'm just going to take a minute and move something. There we go. And I'm bringing her on a screen. So if you'll give me just a minute to... Allison, I saw you drop off, so there you go. Looks like you had an unstable Wi-Fi. You must still be on your book tour. Good morning, everybody. Take a minute, hit share. Good morning, Diane Dick. There's Miss Allison.
Hey, good morning.
How are you?
Hello.
Good. I'm getting a little bit of a freeze, so your Wi-Fi might be getting clouded by snow there in northern Wisconsin.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm like in the Arctic Circle. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, I used to live in Fargo Moorhead, so I don't think it gets any further north except Santa Claus land.
Yeah. Yes.
So thank you so much for joining me today on Writer Wednesday. And I want to introduce your book, and then I want you to know, so everybody, this is not what the book looks like. You probably
it looks like
this. That's what the book looks like. This, I had to get an early copy because I was so excited. I wanted to read it before it had come back from the publisher. And Allison was gracious enough to send me the editor's copy. And as you can see, I've kind of like made a lot of
yes.
thumb
makes me
tabs
happy, Eric.
and
you are
note
my friend.
tabs.
I'm so happy.
And sticky tabs all over it. Because when I read, it's funny, I always have to read with like my yellow highlighter and my notepad taker on the other end. And so, phenomenal book. Love it. The Art of Imperfect Action, All Success Comes from Daring to Begin. So, thank you for joining me. I want to dive in, but before I dive in, I want you, I've got so many notes. I even have my notes labeled. So if you see me looking over here, it's because it's a great book. And what I liked about the book, it was very practical in the sense that it didn't just story tell, but it also was like, so what are you going to do? Every chapter, every thought, every idea sort of had now take some action, which I think ties in beautifully to the title, The Art of Imperfect Action.
Absolutely. Eric, I am, just 1 second. I'm going to do something really quick. Okay.
Cool. So why she is resetting, and often what I find happen is if you're in an unstable Wi-Fi, it bounces between Wi-Fi and cell phone, and Wi-Fi and cell phone trying to find the best signal. And I bet that's what Allison's adjusting. And she may drop off here in a minute, and don't worry, I'm going to bring her back if that does happen. So anyhow, I am going to just keep on going because you guys all took a moment, jumped in and shared the book. And I want you to know that when I buy books on my desk, No, that's too many. 3 that I'm reading through. And so when I'm reading through a book, I often will highlight it and I want to talk to the author, talk to the writer about what their ideas were, what their vision for the big book was, and get their voice more on a personal scale. Whoop, we are all over the place. Give me just a minute here. Facebook is acting crazy between Alice and I. Okay, I am up. So go ahead, log back out and log back in, Allison, and it looks like you didn't connect fully, so try one more time for me. So I'm going to dive into page 15 on Allison's book, and it really is where she outlines the goal and the ambition for the book, and it says, my main goal for the book is to empower you to do more, be more, and have more in your life by designing a life you love and practicing the art of imperfect action. So let me see if I can bring back Allison. I think this is such a great, there we go. There she is. I'm going to add her. And she's adding and she's adding, and there she is.
I'm back. I apologize. You know, you wouldn't think that we live close to a city, but we.
Everything in Wisconsin is not close to something. So I think this is perfect, though, because it highlights your book. That we so often spend time trying to get it all right up here that we never get it down into our boots and take action. And what your book over and over again talks about is that fact that if we don't take action, we don't live.
Right? That's the thing. So Eric, what happened, the reason that I wrote this book, it wasn't necessarily my next idea for my book, but I wrote my first book, Life Under Construction, and it was about designing a life you love. And I talked to thousands of people from all over the world, and I got to hear about their goals and their dreams and what they truly wanted to be, do, and have in their life. And I was so excited. And they would tell me, you know, their big, huge goal. And then they would say, but Allison, I'm stuck. And I would be like, just take imperfect action. And they'd be like, they'd look at me with this blank stare. And so what I did is I wrote this book to solve that problem, because I knew that this art of imperfect action is something that isn't taught. And it's something that has gotten me from starting my first business when I was 23 years old, founding another nationally awarded financial planning firm, writing books, being a mom. Like, I use it every single day. And I thought to myself, you know, there's got to be somebody that's talking about this, and there wasn't. And so I thought, you know, we really need to start taking those little baby steps towards our goals and dreams. And there's a way to do it. And it feels scary at first, because I remember when I did my wrote my book even and wrote my other book, I thought to myself, like, there's nobody that's going to read it. It's not going to help anybody. Like, I had all of these negative thoughts. And once we realized that even if it helps one, writing this book, and it was just, it's amazing. I think it's practical, and it is something that I hope people will really appreciate and enjoy and apply to their life.
Well, and I think it's interesting because you said, I wrote this book as a solution to.
Yes.
Not at, and I think that's a wonderful, when I get to read thought leaders like you, I love when they approach the book not as, I'm going to tell my story, or I need to inspire the world, or transform people with my intellect. The people that I read the most and that end up with like 900 little tabs and sticky notes and highlights. And I even wrote in the column, just so you know, I'm going to confess now, so it's on tape. I wrote things like steal, copy, expand.
You do it, Eric.
They were ideas that I was like, I need to steal it. I want to copy that. I want to expand that in my life or in what I teach and coach. Because as you said, I wrote this with the idea of creating a solution for people. And I want to go over to page 45. If you don't have your copy, read along with us, as they say in church. Where you say, detach your self-worth from the failure on your way to success. And as I'm reading Psycho-Cybernetics, it's almost that same idea of saying, look, you're going to fail. That's just part of the path to success. And as soon as you take a moment and detach yourself, self, heart, spirit, ego,
right?
You're halfway there.
Isn't that so true? And that's where the perfectionism. So I call myself a recovering perfectionist. So for the longest time, I thought I needed to look a certain way, act a certain way, and be a certain person in order to be seen as worth it to these outcomes in my life. And if it didn't turn out exactly the perfect way that I thought it needed to be, then what would happen is I would get so down on myself, and I would doubt myself, and I would get into this place of really like deep sadness, and like I would be so hard on myself. And as soon as I started to practice this idea, and especially in owning businesses and doing these things that were outside my comfort zone and taking bigger and bigger risks, I realized that I needed to start just moving forward, and I needed to start failing more often, because from those failures, you get those lessons and you're able to apply those to your life. So it was really interesting to me to really experience that in my life. And then I thought, I feel like people need to understand that you're going to start, if you want to step outside your comfort zone, you're going to start to feel those times when you're going to start doubting yourself, and you need to detach from that and just keep moving forward.
Yeah, like I said, I'm going through my notes, so yes.
Yes,
but
no
I
problem.
think what was great was when I read that, it was that. So when I coach, often I'll reach, and you probably do the same in your practice. You'll hear somebody hit that wall of resistance, like they really do want to go to the next place, but often it's either social. Something external is keeping them from believing that they can. Or what if my friends say? What if I fail? What will my husband say? I have all of these responsibilities I need to take on. I can't be. So they like externalize the wall, or they internalize it with, I'm not good enough. I might fail. What does that say about me? And I love the fact that you have to say, you've got to separate yourself and just understand that the process of success has built-in failure. That's just the nature of it. It's not you, the failure, as a mom, as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, as a business builder. It's just the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that as I was doing research for this book, what I found is those excuses really do hold us back, right? That excuse of the fear of failure, and the excuse of I'm not good enough, and the excuse of judgment, and the excuse of I'm too tired even. I collected a whole bunch of different excuses that people were using to stop them from taking action in their life. And it was fascinating to me, because very successful people even, right? Like we all have those excuses that kind of hold us back. And understanding, like as soon as we identify the one that we use the most, we hear it in our head, don't we? And we can say, oh, that's just an excuse that I used to hold myself back, and I can push forward anyway, right? Whether it's internal or external, it's really like noting that thing. Oh yeah, I do that all the time. My favorite excuse was I'll do it later. I'll do it later. It's, I can't do that now because right now is really busy, but later I'll do it. And that really held me back from doing a lot in my life, because I always had this future Allison would do that.
And I think, and this, don't interpret this wrong, but I think that's common among mompreneurs. Yes. Because they have so much attachment to the responsibility of momness, yes, that they feel if they have selfness, like I'm going to do this for me, I'm going to do this for my personal growth, my journey, myself, then I'm taking away from mompreneurness or mom time. And so it's like, I'll do that when I'm finished with this role. And the truth is, moms especially, if you're not developing self, if you're not pouring into your dreams separate from all of the people that you support, then you're really not giving your best and highest to those people. And so we have to learn to detach that fear of failure to meet my responsibilities.
Absolutely.
And I hear the kids in the background, and you're just like, oh,
I know. I'm like, this is perfect, right? It's perfectly imperfect, Eric, at my household. Like, I can't even pretend to be like perfect, because this is just life. This is my life. I'm surprised the dog isn't here with me. She was sitting in this chair.
Yeah.
But,
It's always funny, because like every so often I'll see my kids out of the corner of my eyes, and I'll be like, okay, you know what? We've got to live life and success simultaneously, or what's the point? I love this on page 23. And so I feel like I'm like, turn to Psalms 27, job or whatever. You don't have to keep up if you don't want.
Okay.
Because mine are all highlighted.
Just tell me, and I'll try to remember it.
I wish that opportunities came with a list of the benefits and negatives, or that we had the ability to see into the future, to see the outcome of making decisions. But this is just not the case. I love that idea that if we knew what the other side of failure looked like, and what the opportunity, what the success, what the road would look like. Like if it showed up and said, oh, by the way, and if you do this, then you'll have that, how quickly we would jump to it.
Right.
How
And that's
do
so.
you, I was going to ask, how do you move to the if then kind of thing? If I do this, then.
Right. And that's the interesting piece. So for a long time, I wanted to have that whole picture. So I think about it as a puzzle, right? I wanted to know exactly what that puzzle was going to look like for whatever, and I wanted to recognize in this journey of owning businesses and helping other people is that we might only have one little piece of that puzzle. And so understanding that you're going to have one piece and then you're going to find the rest of the pieces along the way. And then eventually in the long term, you're going to see that picture in its entirety. And that's going to include some successes and some failures. And so understanding that you're going to have that one little piece, what I find a lot of times is a lot of people want to know the how, right? So they've set a crazy huge goal for themselves and they say, Allison, I am going to go do this. And I say, awesome, congratulations. I'm so excited about that for you. I'm thrilled that you're going to go after that crazy huge goal. And then they, it takes maybe a day or two, and then they contact me and they say, Allison, you know that crazy huge goal? I don't know how to do it. And I'm like, I know. And they're like, but I can't do it if I don't know how. And I'm like, the reason that you don't have what you want in your life is because you haven't done that before. So you're not going to know the how. You're not going to know every step. You're going to have one little piece. And I think that's what holds a lot of people up. I have a background in engineering, so I'm very analytical, right? And so I understand that thought process. I really, truly do. That black and white kind of analytical, I want to have all the pieces to the puzzle. And what I write about in my book is think about like somebody that designed the Apple iPhone. At the first time that they designed that, it was probably not very good, but they kept trying different iterations of it. Even engineers, even really technical people, they start with something and then they fix it and they mold it to be a success. And so if you think about it that way, you just have to start, and it's not going to be perfect. And that's the whole point.
Well, and that's what I love. I grew up in the Midwest, so everybody in the Midwest is an engineer up here. You have to be in order to survive winters in Wisconsin. You've got to always be strategically thinking and planning. We're the ones that carry survival kits in the back of our car in case it runs off the road. That includes candy bars and candles and salt and extra things. We're the ones. Yeah, here in the South, it's so ridiculous because when they have snow coming, they go and get milk and bread. And I'm like, so you're going to make French toast for 2 weeks? Like, I don't understand what the purpose of that is. In Minnesota, we know what to get. It starts with beers and then anything else that's left on the shelf. And my father is a German Lutheran mechanical engineer.
See? Yes.
Nothing in life happened that wasn't planned. And when it did happen, trust me, it got back on the rails really quick. And what I love about the way you wrote the book is you address that C personality, that planner, that person that needs to know. Because as you said, you're a recovering perfectionist. And I think so often we get into inspirational mindset, growth kind of books that are all, woo, dream it and it will be, float on your butterfly wings and you'll land where your dreams take you. And for some people, that's a really scary place.
Right? And for me, it was. And so personally, for me, this whole concept of growth mindset and all of those different things, I don't know how many engineers, math, and science teachers in my family. So I really, truly understand that thought process. My husband is a very analytical person, very black and white, and which is great. And so I understand that not knowing the how can be really difficult, and practicing the art of imperfect action can be difficult for that person that likes to know all the steps. And so I try to share some of the ways and the questions that we ask ourselves in order to help us get over that piece. And I think that that's really, in a really useful way. So even if you don't know all the pieces, you can kind of start stepping your way there, and you can use that thought process to really help you move forward with intention. And I think that's the coolest thing, is that maybe you know, you can use that for a benefit.
What I think, and I've got like two things that I'm trying to jump between all my little dog ears. I apologize. So I'm going to go to this dog ear. Sorry, everybody. I know I'm not a preacher man. I don't have all this like in perfect order. But what I loved is you sort of address that in two different places really well. One, page 110 and 13. On page 13, you say the trick is that many of the most powerful things that you learn in life need to be applied in order to be effective. They need to be acted on in order to work. And so often we run around and we just grab things higgledy-piggledy, podgy-wadgy. And you sort of say, wait a minute. That's not what I'm advocating here. I'm advocating that, yes, you're going to be imperfect, but even in imperfection, you've got to have structure. You've got to have a formula. You've got to have a plan.
Yes. And Eric, that's such a great point. So when I was writing this book, and one of my dear friends and mentors his name is Cliff, and he actually is a Vietnam vet. And so he had an investment management company. And so when we were going back and forth about this, the art of imperfect action, he's like, Allison, no, like that won't work. And I was like, but Cliff, like, and then I described it to him, and he said, actually, we would do that all the time. And especially when we were going out and doing things. And it's not just about going and doing it kind of willy-nilly. It's about really having that structure. And sorry, I'm trying to find the actual definition. Imperfect action is to take bold, courageous action. Imperfect action is thoughtful action, but you need to take action despite not having all the answers. And so that last piece of that came from Cliff, because we were talking about that, and we didn't want people to just take action and be destructive to their life or anything like that. We wanted them to be really thoughtful and really think into what it was that they're trying to accomplish, because with that thought process and with those actions, you're really going to be able to understand that next step. And I think that for the longest time in my life, and in a lot of people's lives, I think what we do is we come up with this crazy huge goal, and then we think about it for a really long time, right? You think about it, you're like, oh, what if that would work? I don't know if it'll work. What should I do? I don't know. I'm going to do some more research. I'm going to, I need to learn something. I'm going to buy another online course. I'm going to go talk to this person. And you get to that point where you're just like over analyzing everything. At least that's what I would do. And I call this analysis paralysis, where I would just analyze to the nth degree, to the point where no action is ever taken. And I thought to myself, there has to be a better way, because I get stuck in this analysis thing. And especially in the information age, you do a Google search, how many things come up? I mean, it's millions. And I would be like, okay, I have to do more research. And when you have a million options, it's your happiness actually declines as you have more options. I mean, just think about buying toothpaste. Go to the toothpaste aisle. You look, and there is toothpaste everywhere. And every time they switch it on me, I don't know why, but there's like all these different types of toothpaste, and they switch the boxes and they switch the flavors. And I'm like, oh my goodness. But in our lives too, we have all of these different options. We have all these different directions to go, and that can be very overwhelming. And I think to understand that you're going to have a lot of options, but you need to choose that thing that you think might be the first step, right? And just go with it and try it.
I love that, because as you said, quoting you again, don't you love being quoted? On page 5, you say, dreaming without moving your body in the direction of your goal will set you up for frustration.
Right?
And
how many people are frustrated in their life because you're right. Seriously though, and high achievers, I think, because we always are so goal oriented, that you get that level of frustration. But I truly do believe that so many people get to this point where they're thinking about what they want to do, but they're not actually stepping towards it. And even that imperfect action. Last night, I was thinking about this and I was like, we just all need to start thinking, what is that really crazy huge thing? And it can be, I like to start with just one crazy huge goal, one thing that I'm really working towards. And what's that next step? What's that next step? What's that next step? And just continue to ask that question. Because it's weird how that works. Like even you, Eric, I learned so much from you. And I remember it was last year at this time that I would just watch your videos. Like I would just all the time I would watch and watch and watch and watch and watch and watch. And I was like, I need to learn from Eric. I don't even, at that time, I think were you living in South America at that time maybe?
Yeah. Imperfectly.
Yeah. So I'm watching you from South America and I'm just like, this Eric, I don't know why, but I need to learn from him. And you were taking imperfect action, right? You were just doing it. You're doing the videos and you're doing a great job and you were sharing your message and you were doing it in a way that added value to others. And that was your whole point. And that's like, right? And I think that's what so many more of us need to do, because you never know what that's going to end up doing in your life and what impact it's going to have.
And that's where I think when I love what struck me and what is kind of like, I don't want to say my motto, but I always keep in the back of my head when I'm stuck in that imperfect action analysis paralysis, like, do I hit the record button? Do I hit the go live button? Do I hit the publish button? When, as you said on page 110, quoting Allison from the Art of Imperfect Action, the purpose of a goal isn't merely to reach the goal. It's much more than that. The purpose is to become someone who can achieve.
Isn't that once I learned that lesson, I just realized that we're looking at these external factors when in reality, it's us becoming that person that can reach that goal, right? It's us learning the power within us that can get there, and training ourselves through those imperfect actions and trials and errors to become that person who can achieve that. And I just am blown away by opportunities and the people and the reason. I mean, like you, like this is awesome. How amazing! What an honor! And that's the thing, like to be able to surround yourself with brilliant people, but then also to become that person that can also add value. And I think we need to start looking at what that goal is not only going to do for our lives, but also who we're going to become in the process. And I think that's the coolest piece, right? It's becoming that different person and helping people in a bigger way.
And what I love about that mindset, and when I coach into that, our brains don't record big and little wins. They just successes and failure. And so often, people prone to perfection paralysis will focus on the failure. Oh, that was a failure, that was a failure, that was a failure. Can't try again until I have all the information, all the facts, all the data. Whereas our brain simply knows you succeeded or failed. You felt good or you felt bad. So I always encourage people, find little wins, find little successes, because if you begin to build the mindset, the personality, the DNA, the belief system that, wait a minute, I achieve things. So therefore, the next thing that comes along is just a logical next achievement. It's not this big, gigantic thing. It's just what's next on my achievement scale.
I think so too. Oh, that's so good, right? And I think so many of us, we really want to have that big win before we have all those little wins, right? You know, we think that the big thing comes before the little things. And I'm Allison Liddle, so I know that the little things are important, right? No, I'm just kidding. But like, seriously, those little steps are little tiny baby steps towards that big thing. But what our brains do is we automatically want to get to that big thing. And if we don't get to that big thing right away, we wonder why we failed, it didn't work, all of those different things, when in actuality, every day is a new step. Every day is a new challenge. Every day is a new obstacle that you're overcoming. And through that process, you're learning and you're kind of like maneuvering. It's kind of like if you're flying from California to New York, the airplane doesn't go perfectly there. It course corrects the entire way. And that's the journey to success, right? You're going from one destination to the other, and every day you're course correcting to get to that final destination or that goal that you're trying to reach. And I think that's the thing that that so many of us forget when we're in that process, is that it's going to be a little bit at a time, and incrementally we're going to grow, and that's going to compound over time. And that's, I teach this in one of my keynotes. I talk about growing every day, because what I used to do is I would go to a conference and I would get all these ideas and thoughts, and I would write them all down, and then I'd put it in that pile in the corner of my office. Do you have one of those, Eric? Yeah, I bet you used to. But, yeah, you have
used to. Now I just jump on live and share it.
Yeah. And then I wouldn't do anything with it. And so what I found is I needed to start growing every day. And not only that, for me, I read books all the time. Learn from all. I realized they needed an outlet to share that, right? And so doing something with that information and that growing and being that river rather than a reservoir, and just sharing and growing and thinking about how you can add value, I think is so critically important in this process.
Well, and I have to agree with that so much, because what started this whole journey of Success Lives was I had literally probably like, moving box full of journals and notes and seminar things that I said, oh, what I'm going to do is someday I'm going to composite this into a really good blog, or I'm going to write a book, or I'm going to create a training around it. And then next year I would just add to the collection and add to the collection and add to the collection. And what I began to understand was, because I wasn't using it, I was just acquiring it, then it was doing nothing for me, and it was doing nothing for other people. And as soon as I started to have to like come up with content for live and think deeper into it, then it was nothing to sit and read a book like yours in an afternoon, because I wanted to take that information and scatter it as many places as I can, as opposed to just gather more data. I want to jump, because I want to have you talk about, I don't know if it shows up, it doesn't.
Oh, I can't see it, sorry.
Ants.
Ants, automatic negative thoughts. Oh, goodness. Those ants, they creep up into your head, right? So this is how I describe it. So we have our comfort zone, and as soon as we try to take that first step out, these automatic negative thoughts flood into our brain, and we can come up with why it won't work, why we can't do it, why we're not enough, all of these negative thoughts. And really overcoming that thought process, and understanding that those ants are going to be there, right? And sometimes they're, then you have this tiny, you've got this. And it's hard to really understand that until you start recognizing those, that you're going to have those automatic negative thoughts. And as soon as you recognize them, guess what? You can hear them in your head. So you're like, oh, I'm stepping outside my comfort zone, and automatically I'm telling myself I can't do it, and replacing that thought process and just kind of recognizing it and saying, you know what, I can. That's an old habit that I used to think. I don't really need to think that anymore, and I'm going to try it anyway, and I'm going to push myself. I actually wore a bracelet. It broke twice, Eric, that said fearless, because I was trying to train myself that every time I felt fear, every time I was stepping outside my comfort zone, I was going to be fearless, and I was going to do it anyway. And so as soon as you can start dancing with your fears and taking that action, even though it might be a little scary. I mean, coming on a Facebook Live with the amazing Eric was a little bit nerve-wracking, seriously. But I did it anyway, and I continue to do those little tiny incremental steps every single day to push myself outside my comfort zone. And I think all of us need to do that in some way, shape, or form every day. It can't be just like a one day thing. It needs to be each and every day we're pushing ourselves to be a little bit more uncomfortable. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable is what I say.
I love, because I'm a visual thinker, I love the idea of the ants, because, and you probably have them, sugar ants. You're like in the kitchen, all of a sudden you see one go across the counter, and you smush that, and then the next day you got 2 or 3, and then pretty soon you're like, where are they coming from? What are they going to? And as I started to apply it to the mindset thing, often we'll have that one little negative that creeps in, and and then all of a sudden it's got a friend, and then it's got 5 friends, and then there's a trail of it. And so then I'm started to visualize it, like, okay, where are they coming from? What is the source, and what are they feeding on up here that they're feeling so comfortable making that path between source and, food source up here. And so if I eliminate that food source that those annoying little negative thoughts can come into, I don't have to spend all day crushing them. And so as I saw that analogy of the ants, and then I started to, like, I always have to like see how many different layers I can turn it into. Then I thought,
Okay.
wait a minute, am I putting up the guard around the house? You know, when you go and you spray the edges of the baseboard to keep them from coming in. Am I setting my environment to avoid those negative thoughts that are coming in? Am I making sure that the boundaries of my friends, my family, my social media, whatever it is, has been clearly set that those little ants can't make it in?
I love that. I love that. That's such a great picture and visual, Eric. Oh, I'm going to use that. Thank you. I'm stealing it.
Well, I stole ants from you,
well,
and then
we
I
work
sat
together.
there and I thought about
We're
it
thinking
visually,
partners.
so we'll collaborate it.
Yes, that's collaboration. Great. I love that.
Because that's where more great things happen. But yeah, so when I saw that ants, and it's highlighted here somewhere again, I was like, oh, that is it. That is so perfect for me, because we often try and crush the individual negative thoughts instead of taking a moment and figuring out what they're feeding on.
Right.
And then get rid of that, and they'll starve to death. So if it's that fear of, well, I won't be a good mom if I do this, or I won't be successful if I try that, or people may laugh at me when I say I'm going to run the New York Marathon, or, you know, I'm going to be a millionaire, but people think that's too ambitious, too greedy. If I could just, instead of spending time crushing those ants, understand why that fear, why that doubt, why that insecurity exists, I don't have to waste the energy and time. And so I loved when you gave me that. So I'm keeping that one.
Good. Awesome.
And then I love going back in the dedication. And, oh, by the way, I love that Reid's got to be cool. He shows up in the preface, but Tony doesn't show up until page like 143.
Poor Tony. Don't tell him that. No, I'm just kidding. He's read it.
I do love that you do talk about your family, and that you do celebrate your brothers and your sisters, and how interwoven they are to you. And I think that's what probably makes you such a wonderful source for this kind of thing, is because you're not living off on some golden tower in the middle of somewhere. You're fully exposing yourself throughout the book about, look, you know what? I'm just a woman trying to make it work.
Right? Yeah, and I think, you know, when I was thinking about the lesson, and, you know, I write each book for just one person. This book I wrote for, you know, really two people, my little brother and my little sister. I was trying to think of those lessons as an adult that I wish I would have learned earlier in life. And this is one of them, specifically, is practicing the art of imperfect action, and really understanding that it's not all going to look perfect, and it's not all going to, you know, you don't have to be perfect in order to take action. You don't have to be perfect in order to go after your goals. You don't, you know, things aren't always going to work out exactly how you want them to work, but you can do it anyway, and that you can persevere and you can persist, and that will turn out to you know, to help you later in life, and it'll actually lead you to success. And that was definitely, you know, when I was thinking about who needed this book in my life, just personally, that wanted that.
Well,
Hi, is it working?
okay, you stuttered for a minute, so the kids must
Sorry.
be loading the iPads. I think what you say to your sister and your brother, I think we all want to hear every single day in our lives, and I like the fact that you took a moment to say it, is all success comes from daring to begin. And that you say, I believe in you. And I think when I read through the book, and that was where I began, was somebody saying, you know what, all success is just about beginning, and I believe in you. That truthfully, I can see that in your servant heart, in your caring, compassionate way, that you wrote this book really with the intent of saying, just begin. It will be a wonderful adventure. It will be something you'll never understand until you begin to do it. And if nobody else on the entire planet says this to you today, I believe in you. And you reaffirm that over and over in the book. And you remind us throughout the book that you believe in us because you've been there, done that, lived it. And the best part of it is the fact that you began, not what you finished or what you accomplished.
Oh, thank you. You're going to make me cry. Oh, Eric, you're so sweet. So I think one of the things that all of us need is to be validated, especially when we're going after a crazy huge goal, if we're going after our dreams, is to have that person say, you know, you can do it, right? And the thing that I get just amazed by is I go and I speak at all of these different conferences, and I get to talk to thousands of people, and inevitably, on stage, I'll say to them, I'll say, if you don't have one other person in your life that will be your cheerleader, I will be your cheerleader. And I have people contacting me all the time, either through, like, they message me, they email me, they come up to me and they say, you know what, I just don't have anybody that believes in me or believes in this crazy huge goal that I'm going after. Could you be that person for me? And I think that it makes me sad, because I want everybody to have that. And I want everybody to know that they can do, be, or have whatever they want in their life. And for the longest time, I didn't believe that in myself, and I didn't believe that I could do it. And so now that I'm starting this process and this, you know, I haven't arrived anywhere, right? I'm on a journey of doing stuff. But in that process, I started to believe in myself a little bit more each and every day. And I'm surrounded by amazing people that remind me on those days when I need it. And so I want to be that person that can also remind others that they can do, be, or have whatever they want in their lives. And that if they put enough action toward that goal or that dream, and they keep moving forward, even on those days when it's tough, because it gets tough, right? It's not always easy. It doesn't always work exactly how we want. There aren't, everybody isn't always supportive of those things that we want to have and that we're looking towards growing to. And that's what stops us. And I want people to know that even on those days when it gets really tough, and even on those days when you want to quit, and even on those days when people aren't supportive and people aren't being kind, and you are beating yourself up on the inside because it didn't work out how you wanted to, on those days, those are the days that teach you to move forward anyway, and to take that step and to just take a breath and move forward and understand that you have everything that you need in order to move forward, and you have the power within you, and you can do it. And you can do it. And that's the thing that I want everybody to know, that, because I think it's such an important message. And I get it from such amazing people in my life, but I think everybody needs that message.
And I love you for that, because as a leader, you recognize that not everybody has it. And so often it's easy for us to go through life and go, oh, well, somebody else has got that. Somebody else can help them with this or that or whatever. And you always check in first and say, do you need me here? Because if so, then I'm available. And if not, then tell me. That you don't wait to be asked, you always contribute. And I love page 158 where you say, from my own experience, I want to say that you should follow your heart and the mind will follow you. Believe in yourself and you will create miracles. And I really think that is the journey that you're trying to encourage people to take, is to begin to create miracles through imperfect action.
Yes. Oh, I love that. Eric, yes, I think that each of us has that ability. And I see, when I'm talking to people, I can see that light and that fire and that greatness within them. And I think to myself, yes, like, go after it, do it. And then the self-doubt or that automatic negative thoughts or those people seep into their lives. And I'm like, no, like, just like laser focus in on that thing. And push, and sometimes when we're trying to go after that crazy huge goal, sometimes we have to actually really make room for it in our lives by eliminating anything that might be that automatic negative thought, right? For me, I don't watch the news. I try, like, if I need information, I can go seek it out, but I don't let it come into my mind. I don't. I find specific people that I know are lifters, and I surround myself with brilliant lifters that want more for themselves and more for me, and I try to be that for others. And so really understanding that when you are on that path, you can't allow other things to really impact your life, and understand that you need to realize that every day is going to be a new journey, but you can go after that. And little by little, I have pinch me moments is what I call them. And I think other people will start having those, like, this is one of my pinch me moments. I'm like, here I am with Eric. This is so cool. And these brilliant experiences and opportunities and people will come into your life and you'll go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm here. I can't believe that I get to experience this and share in this way. And I think that that's, you know, those are the miracles. When you start doing that and you're starting to lead a life of significance rather than just success, you're trying to add value and do those things that can really have a bigger impact on the world. And I love that. I just love it.
I love that idea. As you said, that I'm busy creating miracles. I don't have time for all that automatic negative thinking. I'm sorry, I've been charged with creating a miracle out of this imperfect path that I'm on.
Yes. And that's important work, isn't it, Eric? Because you do that every day by adding value through your messages and the coaching that you do. And so you get it, right? Right? It is important work, and you do need to be very very intentional about how you do that and what that looks like. And I was never taught that, right? I was never taught that I needed to guard my thoughts. I was never taught the things that I teach in my books. These weren't things that I was taught by anybody else other than through self-study and through my mentorship. And now I'm surrounded by people that think like this. But my background isn't in this thought process. I wasn't like, oh yeah, Allison had everybody that was just thinking like this, and you had, and that's where I think a lot of adults, even, we don't have this thought process of like, you really need to focus on those positive people and those positive experiences and those positive opportunities, like intentionally focus on the positive in life and intentionally look at the good and look for the good, even on the bad days, even when you're in the midst of chaos, in the midst of that life under construction zone, right? Even on those times, you have to look for that little gift in each and every day and be grateful for it, because as you do that, more blessings come into your life, and there's more to be grateful for. And each and every day, that's what I try to look for, is that lesson in my life and how I can share it with others, and how it can be a positive influence on the lives of others.
Yes, and that's why I love the coaching process, is because I see the miracles around people, and I just really, I like it. It hurts and excites me in the same breath, to say, like, if you can only get past this, you're in a miracle. And that's really when I started reading The Art of Imperfect Action. It was like, out of all of this imperfection, out of all of this fumbling and bumbling and mistake making, and all of this, there is a miracle being birthed. Now, I don't know what the miracle is going to look like. I don't know what the impact is going to be. I don't know the magnitude of miracleness, but through my imperfect, through my stumbling and falling forward, because I am experiencing life fully and intentionally, the outcome has to be a miracle. And I think if there's no other takeaway from the book, it really is that idea that your imperfect actions are really miracles under development.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. I love it. And your imperfect action today could change the world tomorrow. So really understanding that, finding that voice and finding that power within you to take that imperfect action, you never know what it's going to lead to, and you never know who it's going to help. And that's the cool thing, is just to be able to have that time and to share your gifts with the world. You just never know. You never know what it's going to do.
Which again, so easily overlaps with when you said, detach your self-worth from failure on your way to success. Now that I understand that all of this imperfection is really a process of miracle manifestation, then I don't have to worry about what I feel, what I think, my self-image, because on the long scale, it doesn't matter.
Right.
So
yes.
You get to show the real copy. I'll show, like I said, my PDF editor's version, all dogwood and tagged. Now, I know this is your official pre-launch book tour, going on your world speaking engagement between, I just saw you were in North Dakota. I didn't know people in North Dakota could read. And I say that as a Minnesota, and that's the joke we have between Fargo and Moorhead, just like people in Alabama and Georgia. but you're also getting ready. The book launches officially on Amazon.
Yep. So the pre-order is available right now, and I'll put in the comments. I have some pre-order gifts. So if people pre-order 1 book, 5 books, however many books they want, they get different items that I'm giving away for free. Just because I truly want to give this message out to the world, and the book will actually become available on October 30th. So it's available on Amazon and on Barnes and Noble. And it will become available on October 30th. And like I said, my message is, my goal really is to just spread this message that you can do, be, or have whatever you want in your life by taking this imperfect action. And I'm so excited and honored that you have been supporting me and sharing your message. And it just makes my heart happy. So thank you, Eric.
I'm gonna do the part that's probably uncomfortable for you is, yes, buy the book, buy the pre-order book. Sign up today for it, because when you do the pre-order book, you get a PDF version. Am I correct?
Mm-hmm.
Which, what I would do is I would have the book and I would read the book, but the PDF, because of the format, you can highlight, you can cut and paste, you can utilize the resource as a workbook, as a study guide, and you can really get in and like really like tear it up and dog ear it on your PDF or on your Kindle. So you can always have it and refer back to the ideas and the quotes that she shares. I know you've also got a training or a webinar or seminar coming up that's built around this in your other book as well.
Yes. So one of the offers that you will get, I'm trying to remember. I think if you buy 10 books, I know, right? It's been kind of a whirlwind. I got home yesterday late, and I think it's 10 books. Then you get my free Life Under Construction online course, which is a $497 value. And so you get to walk through. So like I said, the reason I wrote this book is because I wrote my first book, and that's where you really can come up with your goals, your dreams, that vision of what you want your life to look like. And that my Life Under Construction online course really helps you walk through those pieces. And I want to give that away as so you get it for free if you buy 10 books. And then you use this next book, which also has questions, coaching questions in it, and information that you can really move forward. And as you hear my daughter screaming in the background, because
she can come in.
I know, she's just like,
ah! Mine are locked in the closet, so.
I know.
But so, yes, and so on the idea of the book, think of it, you could get 10 copies, give them to your children, your spouses, your workmates, your teammates, and really begin a book club kind of thing where you guys could sit down and do it together, grow together. And I think it's a really great book for teams or groups or, you know, organizations that there is a lot of that tension of, you know, the right to fail. I often coach and teach teams about giving permission for people to have failure moments in the office or on the team, because that's where creativity grows from. And so having something that's sort of a third-party voice come into your group, come into your team, come into your study group, where it sort of gives you the permission slip to be imperfect, I think is a really great way of launching a business in the new year, in the fourth quarter. So don't overlook the idea of what am I going to do with 9 other copies? Because trust me, once you read it, you're going to want to give it out to a lot of people, especially if you have mechanical, Lutheran, German engineers in your family.
Right.
I was just so like, I got to send this to my dad. You know, like,
I know.
Dear Dad, relax.
Relax. I know. I get it. It's like my
Because
family.
I was the wing it and fling it, and my dad was like, what's your plan? And I could just see him like, well, Dad, I was going to get the cereal out of the cabinet. And then that was too abstract for him. So I love the book. I love the permission slip you gave me. And like I said, I love where it says, all success comes from daring to begin. I believe in you. And I mean, there's so many highlights. I only probably got into about 4% of them. I'm looking through it, and it's like the questions you ask around page 68 of what's my passion, what is my, putting myself in motion and things. You guys, it's a great book. Show the real copy so people can recognize it.
I don't know.
Tilt it. There you go. Perfect lighting. The Art of Imperfect Action. It's available on Amazon. It's available on Kindle. And as we all have learned through our friend Daniel Gomez, Kindle doesn't mean you have to buy the Kindle thing. Kindle is just a format that you can read a book on your phone, on your iPad, on your Android, on any device you want. So if you're a Kindle reader, if you like to have your books, and I like to have actually 2 copies. I often have the hard copy because I'm old, but I also like to have the Kindle version so I can go back and re-highlight the notes and have them for teaching and resources. So if you're out of the country and Amazon doesn't ship to you, you can always get Kindle. And the book release is officially October 30th.
30th, yes.
Pre-order, yeah. Didn't want to do it on Halloween, did you?
Yeah, I know.
And the pre-order link is going to be posted here below so that you can pre-order the book. There's all kinds of bonuses and goodies that she gives as part of the pre-order package. And then I know Allison has got some things coming up in the future that are going to back end and share on this, whether it's through webinars, seminars, training, and teaching. So make sure that you get on her email list. I get your email list or your email newsletter, and I thoroughly enjoy it because it is not coupons and fluff. It is hard work and energy. And I also noticed your coach Dave Gamble jumped in, and so he'll be happy to know. Go ahead and say, "Come on, dear." Go ahead.
Avery,
You're a mom.
She's yelling, Mama. Just a second. I'll get her. Avery, come on.
So for those of you who are entrepreneurs, mompreneurs, dadpreneurs, creatorpreneurs, if we try and contain our lives into cubes where we have our business life and our family life and then our social life and our fitness life, you know what? It doesn't work. It just doesn't work. For so long, I've worked with successful people that would give 100% of their energy to maybe a small section of their life. And then they would end up missing out on cuddle moments like this. Good morning, beautiful.
Say hi. Hi. This is Avery.
What are you going to be doing for Halloween?
What are you going to be? Do you remember? We're going to be Wonder Woman. I'm going to be a big one. She's going to be a small one. Yes.
Power Woman, Wonder Woman. Are you going to get the magic bracelets and the headband?
Yes.
Wonder Woman rocks. That's a good choice.
Yes, absolutely.
What's your brother doing?
What is he going to be? Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren from Star Wars.
Old school.
Yeah.
I say old school because everybody's doing Black Panther.
Yes.
Kylo Ren?
Yes.
And
Kylo
Wonder
Ren's our
Woman.
friend. Yeah.
Hey, it's a power couple.
Yes, right?
Wonder Woman catch Joker.
And Wonder Woman catches Joker.
Joker's
You know.
from where?
Yeah.
Joker's a bad
Can you
guy.
say thank you, Mr. Eric?
Thank you, Mr. Elliott.
Thank you,
Mr.
beautiful, for sharing your morning with us and sharing your mommy. Your mommy is awesome. Did you know your mommy's
Thank you.
awesome?
Yes, we love each other.
See?
Yes.
See? That's what it's for. That's what it's all about, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. She's good people.
See?
She's good people.
See?
Yeah.
And raising kids is truly the art of imperfect. I want to thank you for
Every day.
sharing your moment with us, but more importantly, for sharing your book with us, The Art of Imperfect Action. You guys go out, take a moment, find it. We're going to post the pre-order link below. When you see the pre-order link, do me this personal favor. Get out and share it with a couple other people. Share the video. Let people get to know about the book and get to know about my friend. Like I said, I read it, and it was worth the read, and the time invested. I think Avery probably hit the computer button and bounced her. So Allison, thank you again so much for being my guest today on Writer Wednesday. Got a couple other authors that I'm reading their books and getting ready to interview. So we'll probably make this a regular thing, but not a scheduled thing because I got, it takes a while. It took me a day and a half to get through it. But anyhow, thank you guys so much for joining me this morning. We have my good friend Steve Krebda on Fun Friend Friday. And until then, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Eastern for Success Life Live. Go out and live your life with success. You are worthy and deserving. Bye-bye, everybody.